His assistant attempted suicide on our 7th wedding anniversary. Ignoring everything else, he rushed to her side. When he returned, he told me he was going overseas for 6 months for work, taking her with him. I smiled and told him to take care of himself. Then I turned and went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy and mailed him the divorce papers. It wasn't until David saw intimate photos of me with his arch-rival that he cried and begged me to give him another chance. Leaning coyly into the man's arms, I said, I doubt my husband would approve. Today was my and David's 7th wedding anniversary. He arrived at the restaurant before me, holding a large bouquet of roses and a diamond necklace set. My dear, do you like them? I nodded, took the flowers, and let him fasten the necklace around my neck. I have a gift for you too. I picked up my bag, about to take it out, when David's phone rang. My first thought was, he changed his phone ringtone. Every year on this day, he would put work aside, turn off his phone, and focus entirely on me. But today, he didn't. Instead, he walked away with his phone pressed to his ear. I put the gift back in my bag, looked at the roses on the table, and felt like laughing. Just now, I'd seen his phone. I knew the caller ID well. That number had called him on countless nights, crying that her lights were out and she was afraid of the dark, or her water pipe burst and her neighbors complained. Every time David answered, he'd explode, I'm your boss, not your father. Don't contact me after hours. Sometimes, utterly annoyed, he'd even curse. Her name was Sarah. She was David's assistant. David was annoyed by her, but he'd kept her on for 4 years. Her contact name had changed from troublemaker 4 years ago to little idiot now. I watched the doorway. David returned quickly. Everything okay? He shook his head. It's nothing. He said it was nothing, but his hands were fumbling. I took a few deep breaths, trying to keep my smile. I have a gift for you. David asked distractedly, what is it? I went to the hospital today. I took out the prenatal checkup report. His phone rang again, exploding with sound. David answered in less than a second. Whatever was said on the other end, his face paled drastically. Without even looking at me, he bolted towards the door. I was pregnant. I was going to tell him the news. We had waited 7 years for this child. I had made countless efforts, endured so much suffering, and finally succeeded. I placed a hand on my stomach. Daddy's busy. Let's give him another chance. I ate alone and went home. David still wasn't back. On our wedding anniversary, he left me there alone, without even sending a message to tell me where he was going. I waited in the living room. My phone buzzed, and I immediately picked it up. It wasn't David. It was an unfamiliar number. There was no name attached, but I knew who it was, Sarah. She sent me a video. She was wearing a white wedding dress, standing in the ocean, crying piteously. Since you don't love me, there's no point in me living. Saying this, she began to walk into the sea. A familiar figure rushed over, pulled her into an embrace, and cried out tenderly and loudly, I love you, I love you. Really? Sarah glanced at the camera and asked him, what about your wife? David sighed deeply, his eyes full of weariness. Her? Marrying her was just to make up for a mistake I made back then. My hands trembled uncontrollably. It took several tries to pause the video. I didn't know if David would tell Sarah about my past. He had promised me he wouldn't mention it to anyone else. David returned early the next morning, dressed in different clothes. Seeing me, he came over and hugged me. Honey, something urgent came up at the company yesterday. I'm sorry. It's okay, I understand. I hesitated for a moment, but decided to tell him about the pregnancy anyway. Maybe, for the child's sake, he would come back to me. Actually, I might have to work overseas for 6 months. I won't be able to be with you during that time. Just a moment ago, Sarah had sent me another message, 2 tickets to France. I'll go with you. David's expression changed, then he smiled again. Of course, I wish you could come with me, but I'll be working non-stop over there. I probably won't have time for you. Oh, I see. Seeing that I wasn't insisting, he smiled and coaxed me again. What were you going to say? I looked at the rain outside the window, struggling to suppress the pain in my heart. I forgot. David didn't seem to mind and turned to ask the housekeeper to pack his luggage. He must not have known how happy he looked at that moment. That happiness was given to him by another woman, while I was once again cast into a dark, sunless corner. David left around noon. I didn't go to see him off. As he left, he leaned down and kissed my cheek. I'm leaving now. David, do you love me? David froze, then nodded after a long pause. Of course. I released him. Goodbye. He left without looking back. I didn't stay either. I went to the hospital. You want to terminate the pregnancy? I nodded yes. Dr. Miller had been in charge of my health since I first started trying to have a child. She had personally witnessed countless needles stuck into my body, seen me drenched in sweat from the pain, yet still forcing a smile and saying I was fine. I knew David always wanted children, so I had been trying hard. Have you discussed this with Mr. Davis? I shook my head. I just don't want it anymore. Dr. Miller sighed. Think carefully. If you lose this child, it might be very difficult to have another later. You know your health condition. Dr. Miller went to see other patients, telling me to reconsider. I stroked my belly. Lately, I kept thinking about the past, about that summer 15 years ago. David came running up to me, holding wild strawberries in his shirt. Look, I picked these for you. He didn't care that his pristine white school uniform was stained red. His eyes were bright, gazing intently into mine without moving. Don't be sad. I'll always be with you. I didn't easily believe promises, but that day I did. And that belief lasted 15 years. David and I met in high school. My dad had passed away less than a month before, and my mom had been remarried for less than a week. My stepfather had 3 children, so I had to live at the dorm and work during the summer to earn my tuition. We met while working. He always pestered me, and he always helped me. David and I were completely different personalities. When he liked me, he wanted everyone around him to know. My troubles seemed to become his troubles too. No matter what I went through, he was always the first one to rush forward and protect me. When I was accused of plagiarism, the teacher just shook her head in disappointment, not pursuing the truth. And my mother, she didn't even ask. She just raised her hand and slapped my face. She wasn't angry about the plagiarism, but about me delaying her from taking care of my sick stepsister. Only David carefully compared the notes, rushing into the office to tell everyone Catherine would never plagiarize. After my dad passed away, no one had been that good to me again. I asked him why he was like this. He said, because I like you. I like you, and I want to take care of you forever. That summer after graduating high school, I told David I wanted to be his girlfriend. He was overjoyed and promised to work hard to make me happy, to love me forever. I believed him. How long do vows last? I didn't know. For David, it seemed to be only 2 years. In our sophomore year of college, I worked hard to buy him a pair of shoes he'd wanted for a long time. David was very happy and wore those shoes to a date with another girl. I rushed up to them and splashed the water from the table onto the girl's face. David lost his temper with me for the first time. He said we were over, he wouldn't like a shrew. Frightened by his disgusted look, I instinctively ran away but fell at the doorway. David just watched me, making no move to help me up. A week later, David found me and apologized. He had promised to take me to see the sea. I asked him if he remembered. He nodded yes. We agreed to go that evening, as a farewell. But when I got to the station, David was late. He called and told me to go ahead, and he would follow soon. He lied to me again. He never came. I waited for a long time until a drunk man grabbed me. When I woke up, David was sitting by my bed, looking desperate. He promised again that he would marry me, that he would love me forever. My mom said she didn't want such a disgraceful daughter. Only David was still willing to have me. After that, I suffered from severe psychological illness. David, while starting his own business, traveled all over the country finding doctors for my treatment. Because of the medication, my body was never suitable for having children. David knew this, so no matter how much his mother urged him, he just said he didn't want any. On my 30th birthday, David was a little drunk. He held on to me tightly, saying he was afraid I still hadn't forgiven him, saying he was afraid of losing me. Now, it was hard to distinguish which words were true and which were false. In a daze, I seemed to hear David's voice, calling my name anxiously. Kathy? Kathy? The hospital room door opened, and David rushed in, covered in sweat. He pulled me up, examining me carefully from head to toe. You didn't have the surgery, did you? The baby is still there, right? I was a little confused, unable to tell if it was reality or a dream. Dr. Miller walked in. I called Mr. Davis. This child was hard one for you. I didn't want you to do something you'd regret. David's eyes turned red, and he hugged me tightly. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm not a human being. I really am not. My nose stung, and all the grievances in my heart surged up. Tears followed. Seeing me cry, David clumsily wiped my tears. Don't cry. Don't cry. It's not good for the baby. I didn't ask him about Sarah. I just asked, aren't you going overseas anymore? David's eyes flickered, and the guilt on his face deepened. No, I'm not going. I'm not going anywhere. From now on, I'll only be with you and the baby. I glanced at the hospital room door, catching a glimpse of a white dress flashing by. David stayed with me for a prenatal checkup and asked the doctor many questions about precautions before he felt reassured. Along the way, whenever he saw a baby store, he would go in, buying things here and there. By the end, the car was almost full. We don't even know if it's a boy or a girl yet. David took my hand and kissed it. That's why I bought 2 of everything. Better safe than sorry. Looking at the smile on his lips, I smiled too. I had dreamed of this scene countless times. It was finally not just a dream anymore. David was working hard to fulfill the promises he made. These past few days, he'd been coming straight home from the office. That familiar phone ringtone, specifically for Sarah, never rang again. David's assistant said Sarah had been fired. David probably hinted at this to reassure me. Because I had been having trouble sleeping lately, and my health was already poor, I started spotting after a while. I went to the hospital and got a shot to prevent miscarriage. The doctor suggested I stay in the hospital to be safe. David felt very guilty. We only want this one child. I'll never let you suffer like this again. I held his hand, letting him know I was okay. When David was at the office, it was just Mary, housekeeper, and me in the hospital room. The hospital room door opened. Mary, housekeeper, asked softly, "Who are you looking for?" Sarah had Aura. Audie pushed Mary, housekeeper, aside and walked up to me. So precious? It's just having a baby. Any woman can do it. Do you need so many people waiting on you? I looked her up and down. Women who chase after married men and degrade themselves like Miss Sarah are few and far between. Sarah's face changed drastically, twisting with anger. She glared at me viciously. Then, as if remembering something, she showed a malicious smile. I might be degrading myself, but what about a woman like you who was slept with by a drunk man? Sarah suddenly took 2 steps back. So dirty. I wanted to say something, but my mind felt thick and numb. I just opened my mouth, unable to make a sound. That night, which I had finally managed to forget, was displayed nakedly before my eyes again. Why? David had promised me he wouldn't let anyone know. Why did he tell Sarah? When they talked about it, what were they saying about me? Did he think I was dirty too? And Sarah must have gently caressed him, comforting him for the years of suffering sleeping beside me. Sarah. Slap. The instigator had arrived. He slapped Sarah across the face. After hitting her, he seemed to regret it a little. But Sarah wouldn't let it go. She looked at him tearfully, with a hint of a smile, then ran out. Kathy, are you okay? I finally came back to myself and looked into his eyes. What did you tell her? What did you promise me? I questioned him hysterically. Why can't you ever keep your promises to me? Why do you hurt me again and again? David held me tightly, not letting me thrash. He knew better than I did that I was in a bad state. I used all my strength to hit and bite him. I hadn't been in such a frenzied state for a long time. My illness was supposed to be cured. Kathy, hit me, curse me, I deserve it. But can we wait until you're healthy? This is too dangerous for you. Hypocrite. Vile. David didn't argue, just held me. I cursed until I had no strength left, then drifted off to sleep. When I woke up, David wasn't in the hospital room. Mary, housekeeper, sat by the bed, her eyes full of concern. Mary, housekeeper, didn't have daughters. She knew everything I had gone through in recent years, so she treated me like her own child. Kathy, She hesitated, as if wanting to speak but stopping herself. Go ahead, I'm fine. Mary, housekeeper, thought for a long time before speaking. Just now, that little vixen Sarah came looking for Mr. Davis again. She said she couldn't go on living, so Mr. Davis left with her again. My body suddenly relaxed, a lightness I hadn't felt before. I picked up my phone to call David. He didn't answer. Mary, housekeeper, babbled comforting words. That little vixen must have used some trick. These young girls have so many ways. Mr. Davis is rich and handsome, it's normal for girls like that to throw themselves at him. Even though my health was so poor now, even though getting slightly emotional could risk the baby, he still left. What great love, what a devoted man. I lay on the bed, laughing uncontrollably, laughing until my stomach hurt before I stopped. Mary, housekeeper, was scared. Kathy, please don't do anything foolish. There are plenty of men out there. You're pretty and have a good personality. It's Mr. Davis who has no taste. Please don't hurt yourself. I want to leave the hospital. Dr. Miller was one of David's contacts. I didn't want to see her. Mary, housekeeper, afraid I would get emotional again, quickly agreed. We'll recover at home. This hospital isn't a good place anyway. It wasn't until we reached the hospital entrance that I spoke. Let's go to a public hospital. Mary, housekeeper, was confused but didn't stop me. While waiting in line, David called. Kathy, please rest and take care of yourself. I'll be back tomorrow afternoon. Come back now. David had never seen this side of me before and was immediately displeased. Stop making trouble, okay? There's nothing going on between Sarah and me. Her situation is bad right now. If I leave, it'll be the end of her. Is she an orphan? Doesn't she have family? Catherine, don't say things that are too much. Heh, how pointless. For years, I wasted myself on this one man. Utterly pointless. In 1 hour, I'm going in to terminate the pregnancy. Catherine. David roared. Stop using that threat on me. Okay. I hung up the phone. David called repeatedly, but I didn't answer. I had given David enough chances over the years. Now it was time to give myself a chance. Sister, I'm a little scared. A young girl next to me suddenly grabbed my hand. They say it hurts a lot. I looked around her. No one was with her. She was very young, probably still in school. Call your family. You can't be here alone. She was trembling with fear. No, no, he'll kill me. Just as I was about to comfort her, I heard an angry roar behind me. Goose Young. The young girl clutched my hand tightly, tears streaming down her face. A man strode over, grabbed her like a little chick, and lifted her up. I'll beat you to death. Hey, don't hit her. The man's sharp gaze shot towards me, scanning me up and down. You're her teacher? Huh? Is that how you set an example? Mary, housekeeper, quickly explained, we're also patients here. We don't know this young lady. The man looked at the girl. Seeing her nod, he gave me a displeased look and mumbled an apology, then left, dragging the girl with him. The announcement called my name at that moment. I checked my phone. David was still calling. I didn't answer and walked straight in. After my physical examination, the doctor also advised me to terminate the pregnancy. It's very risky for you to carry a child given your condition. Okay. I personally killed my child. He would thank me for it. No one would want such a failed woman as a mother. As soon as I walked out of the hospital, I saw a familiar figure. Messy hair, panting heavily. It was David. The baby, where's the baby? He asked, still catching his breath. I had an abortion. David's face instantly turned ashen. He stood there motionless, like a broken puppet. Why? I came back. Why? I pushed his hand away. Did you think I would give you another chance just because you came back? His eyes were empty and lifeless. He only whispered, you knew how difficult it would be for you to have another child given your health. Why did you do this? Because I didn't want him to have a double-dealing bastard for a father. Is that reason enough? Saying this, I pushed him aside and got into the car with Mary, housekeeper. I had a property in the Eastwood neighborhood. I called someone to clean it before going into the hospital. Mary, housekeeper, helped me and also comforted me. The most important thing now is to recover. Leave this to me. I'll make sure you're healthy and well-fed. I nodded. I trust you. The next morning, I went to the law firm. I wanted a divorce and half of David's assets. Jo, the lawyer's assistant, came down to meet me. As she approached the office door, she leaned in to listen for a moment and shook her head. Miss Sue, I'll take you to the waiting room first. Mr. Jo is a bit. Before she could finish, the office door opened from the inside. I don't want a divorce, brother, I don't want a divorce. I was stunned. It was the girl I had met at the hospital that day, and the fierce-looking man was her brother. The man gritted his teeth. The child can stay. Just tell the father to get the hell out. The daughter struggled like she was going crazy. I don't want this child. Julian isn't coming home because of this child. He's wild and loves freedom. This child is just restricting his free spirit. Screw his free spirit. Why the hell did he get married if he wants to be free? He used my money and dared to bully my sister. Just wait until I deal with him. The man's eyes looked like he wanted to kill someone. He frowned even harder when he saw me. The girl saw me too and cried out in surprise, "It's you, pretty sister. Are you here for a divorce too?" Yes. This time, the man wasn't as bad-tempered as before. He gave me a smile and walked off, dragging the girl with him. Mr. Jo walked over and shook his head. Those two troublemakers are finally gone. He then told me that the man was Ethan, the son of the chairman of the Sterling Group, and the girl was his sister, Chloe. Sterling Group. David had mentioned it before. I explained my situation to Mr. Jo. She was a well-known divorce lawyer in the industry. Then, I showed her the video Sarah had sent me that day. Mr. Jo thought for a moment. Half the assets might be difficult. Do you know much about his financial situation? I shook my head. These past few years, I had been focused on my health, unable to take care of myself. Mr. Jo sighed. This video isn't conclusive proof of David's infidelity. No matter how much money I get, I want a divorce. Mr. Jo said she would do her best and quickly drafted the divorce papers, sending them to David's company. When I got home that evening, I saw David blocking the door. What do you want? Didn't you get the divorce papers? David took a few deep breaths and walked towards me, but I dodged him. Kathy, I admit I was attracted to Sarah, but I never thought about anything serious with her. I was truly exhausted. Especially looking at this man I had loved for 15 years, I just felt annoyed. You don't need to tell me about you and her. I don't want to know. David dropped his hands dejectedly. You know how I've treated you all these years. Just because I made one mistake, you won't even give me a chance to atone? One mistake? David, ever since we started dating, you've done things to hurt me. Do you want me to list them for you one by one? I should have realized long ago that you're just a fickle person. You won't change for anyone. David still wouldn't give up. I admit I made mistakes before, I was young back then, but when I saw how much pain you were in, I've never felt so much heartache for anyone. No matter how many women came into my life, you're the only one I love. Believe me, give me one more chance, please, just one?" I shook my head. "The moment you used my past as a gift to please Sarah, there was no way for us. If you feel you owe me, then just sign the divorce papers." David took a few deep breaths, trying to control his emotions. "Catherine, why can't you see the situation clearly? You have a history of mental illness, you can't have children anymore, and you were raped. Do you really think anyone else will want you besides me?" Slap! David raised his hand in disbelief, touching his already reddened cheek. I had put almost all my strength into that slap. "You disgust me. Get out." David pulled at the corner of his mouth. "Why would I leave? This house was bought with my money. Are you done fighting?" The door of the room next door suddenly opened, and a highly displeased voice questioned, "Do you know what time it is?" I was a little surprised. This was the third time I'd seen him. He was, surprisingly, my neighbor. David immediately dropped his thuggish demeanor and walked over respectfully. "Mr. Lin? You live here? Otherwise?" David wasn't embarrassed. He continued to fawn obsequiously. "I'm truly sorry. Just a domestic matter. I apologize for disturbing your rest. How about this? I'll treat you to a meal sometime." Ethan glanced at me, his anger turning to disdain. "Treat me to dinner? Are you worthy?" David's face turned green, but he could only swallow it. Ethan gave me a look, and I quickly opened the door and went inside. David didn't dare to make a scene anymore and left obediently. Was he helping me just now? The previous times I'd seen him, he was wearing a suit with his hair slicked back. His hair down looked somewhat familiar. I shook my head. Where would I have met the heir to the Lin family? I had disturbed his rest, and he quickly retaliated. The next morning, just as it was getting light, I was woken up by shouting. Pushing open the door, I saw Chloe crying on the floor, completely disregarding her image, while Ethan calmly watched her, adjusting his cuffs. This was a family matter, so I didn't feel I should interfere. Just as I was about to close the door, Chloe suddenly called out, "Sister, you live here?" "Yes." She scrambled over to me. "Sister, you're a woman, you understand how I feel, right?" "Huh?" I glanced at Ethan and could only force myself to pat Chloe, who was crying hysterically. Chloe looked like a college student, but I hadn't expected her to be married for 3 years. Her husband, Julian, was an artist who was often away pursuing his dreams. Recently, Chloe got pregnant, and her husband actually asked for a divorce. Julian had been living off the Lin family's money to pursue his dreams all these years, and now he was asking to give up such a privileged life. "Perhaps your husband has a girlfriend." Chloe froze for 3 seconds, then burst into tears. I looked helplessly at Ethan. He shrugged, the meaning clear, whoever made her cry should comfort her. After finally managing to soothe her, she said she was hungry and wanted pizza/takeout, insisting I come along. During the meal, I listened to her entire story about meeting and falling in love with Julian. "Sister, do you think he really loved me?" I think, how should I put it, well, actually. Before I could find the right words, Ethan across the table chuckled. "What are you laughing at?" Chloe rolled her eyes. "Didn't you get drunk for 3 days when your ex-wife divorced you?" Ethan didn't care. "I was entertaining clients. Do you think everyone's love is as important as yours?" They started arguing. Again. I quietly got up to pay the bill. Chloe hugged my arm. "Sister, I'll treat you next time." "Okay." She was truly well protected by her family. She could be so dependent and childlike with a stranger like me. I felt a little envious of her. As we were leaving, Chloe bumped into someone. When the person looked up, I saw her face clearly. It was Sarah. Seeing me, she immediately straightened up like a bantam hen. "Well, aren't you done pretending to be sick in the hospital?" I didn't want to talk to her, but she blocked my way. "Let me tell you, I'm pregnant too, and it's David's baby." David didn't want to divorce you just because you had a child. Now I do too. Do you think you still have a chance? Chloe looked at me, then at Sarah. So, you're the other woman? Her voice was loud, and everyone eating turned to look. What's wrong with people nowadays? They have daughters and don't raise them right. Not only is she the other woman, but she's also so arrogant. After saying this, she immediately covered her mouth and looked at Sarah's belly. Baby, you absolutely must not learn to be as shameless as your mother. You. Sarah's face turned pale with anger, but she swallowed all her grievances when she saw Ethan. Let's go, Ethan said softly beside me. I took a couple of steps, then turned back to look at Sarah. Didn't David tell you? I terminated the pregnancy. I hope you work hard to get him to sign the divorce papers quickly. Don't be useless. With that, I turned and walked out. Sarah erupted in a sharp shriek behind me. Getting into the car, I immediately messaged Mr. Zhou. I have evidence of David's infidelity. All I had to do was wait patiently. Sarah was pregnant now. They were the ones who should be anxious. Sure enough, David came looking for me for a divorce within 3 days. I want 2/3 of your assets. David shot up. Are you crazy? On what grounds? On the grounds that you cheated, making you the at-fault part. Why, I'm already being very generous by not leaving you with nothing. It's best to leave an escape route. If I demanded everything, David would definitely refuse to divorce me and drag it out. Poverty and having an illegitimate child are easy to choose between. You're so good at making money, you'll earn it back quickly. You know I can't earn money anymore and I can't have children, so I'll have no one to rely on in the future. As I spoke, tears began to fall. We've been together since we were 18. All these years, I've been with you, from a small employee to a general manager. I've endured all the hardship I could. Not to mention the unpleasant past, even if we were a normal couple, isn't it reasonable for me to get this money? David didn't speak. Mr. Zhou gave me a look, and I continued to cry pitifully. All these years, you've been the only one in my heart. Even after you were intimate and slept with Sarah, I still chose to forgive you, giving you chance after chance. David, why do you think that was? I love you. But you only brought me endless pain. Mr. Zhou quickly patted my back to comfort me and said to David, Mr. Davis, honestly, this is the most lenient offer my client is making out of consideration for your past relationship. Going to court would definitely not be in your favor. After all, your infidelity is a fact, and Miss Song is already pregnant. If only for the child's sake. David gritted his teeth and signed the divorce papers. I breathed a sigh of relief and went with him to City Hall for the divorce. Kathy, I'm sorry. I put the divorce certificate in my bag. If you feel sorry, give me a little more. Sarah couldn't wait any longer and rushed over. Let's go in and get married now. David's face changed drastically. What the hell are you talking about? Sarah looked wronged after being yelled at and started crying loudly. David clamped a hand over her mouth. Stop embarrassing yourself. Saying this, he roughly yelled her away and shoved her into the car. Feeling light, I went home. Chloe was waiting at the door. She had been crying again. I felt a little sorry for her. Looking at her was like looking at my past self. Except, I didn't have a brother who always had my back. Sister, I'm divorced. She wailed. He really did have a girlfriend. She's only 18. Is he a pedophile? I was surprised too. Ethan opened the door. Are you done howling? Come in and eat. Then he looked at me, his voice softening. You should come too. Isn't your housekeeper away these days? I followed Chloe inside. She was pregnant and had a good appetite. I tasted a bite. Ethan's cooking was unexpectedly good. He looked at me again and again. Is there something on my face? Ethan smiled. You really don't remember me? Huh? He put down his chopsticks and held out his hand. The fingernail marks are gone. No evidence. It suddenly clicked for me. It was back when David and I were in college. He wore the sneakers I saved up to buy him to meet another girl. I went to catch them. As I left, I fell at the doorway. David just watched me coldly. Instead, a passing guy helped me up. It hurts. I shook my head, wiping tears and pretending to be strong. It doesn't hurt. Not at all. The guy sighed. I hurt. My fingernails had dug deep into his hand, drawing blood. I'm so sorry. The guy just waved his hand, gave me a pack of tissues, and left. It's you. He smiled. Chloe talked while eating. From her words, I learned that after graduating college, Ethan married the daughter of another group's chairman as arranged by his family. They were married for 3 years and finally divorced peacefully. Not sad anymore? Chloe paused, then sniffled. You can't be sad forever, right? Ethan and I exchanged a look and a smile. It seemed she was getting better. Being neighbors with Ethan and Chloe, my days passed faster, especially with Chloe's cheerful presence. Your ex-husband seems to have been fired. Huh? I was so shocked the orange in my hand almost dropped. Chloe said that shortly after David divorced me, he married Sarah. Sarah was pregnant and emotionally unstable, always suspicious that David was involved with someone at the company. To confirm her suspicions, one morning she followed David to the company and saw him attentively carrying a bag for a woman. Sarah completely lost control. She went over with a baseball bat and hit the woman hard on the head. That woman was the daughter of David's boss, who had recently returned from studying overseas. David and Sarah apologized to her in front of all the employees. This incident had already made the boss very dissatisfied with him. Then, during a board meeting, Sarah's father came in with several men, begging the boss to lend him money to pay off gambling debts. In the scuffle, he even pushed the boss down. Soon after, David was dismissed for various reasons. Ridiculous, right? Yeah. I'm back. Ethan walked in, holding a cake. Chloe was surprised. Whose birthday is it? Do you have to have a birthday to eat cake? I don't even like cake, she said, then suddenly turned back and looked at me with a mischievous smile. Then who is it for? My face flushed completely. I didn't dare look at her. Ethan smacked her hard on the head. If you're not eating, shut up. Okay, I won't say anything. All right? She said this, but a moment later she asked, Brother, when did you learn to pick locks? Pick what lock? She pointed at the door to my place. What do you think? Ethan came over to hit her again, but she dodged him. Don't chase her, she's pregnant. Chloe was full term. Her due date was the day after tomorrow. I quickly went over and blocked Ethan. Stop messing around. Be careful not to hurt her. Chloe whistled like a hooligan behind me. My face got even redder. Ethan glanced at my red ears, then went back to chasing CH. Lo, you're never going to stop. Chloe laughed and ran a couple of steps, then suddenly stopped. My water broke. Ethan quickly took her to the hospital. I followed too. Ethan's parents also came. I wanted to sneak away, but Mrs. Lin took my hand. Good child, thank you for keeping Chloe company these past few days. Come to the house sometime, I'll cook for you. I looked at Ethan, unsure whether to agree or not. Ethan, however, walked over confidently, put his arm around my waist, and agreed. Okay. Chloe didn't give birth until the next morning, a daughter. Mother and daughter were both safe. Ethan and I had been up all night. Mrs. Lin told us to go back and rest and come back in the evening. As soon as we got downstairs, I saw a familiar figure. It was Sarah. Seeing me, she immediately charged over like a fighting rooster. When she saw Ethan beside me, she stepped back a few paces. Where did you lure my husband? Your husband is? Sarah stood with one hand on her hip, supporting her belly. Anger burned in her eyes. Stop playing dumb. You're already old enough. Can't you just settle down? I saw his call history with you. Are you sure? Sarah blinked. He called you. I changed my number a long time ago. I looked steadily at her. When you two were hooking up behind my back, you should have expected this day would come. If he could betray me, he could betray you. You're lying. We have love. He loves me. I had no desire to continue. Then I wish your love lasts forever. Ethan and I had been upstairs for a long time. I looked down from the window. Sarah was still standing below, looking lost. A few days later, David came looking for me too. Are you two done or not? Are you deliberately taking turns to disgust me? David rubbed his face. His hair was messy, he had lost a lot of weight, and the suit he was wearing was one I had bought him 2 years ago. It was originally a good fit, but now it was much too big. Kathy, I regret it, he said, suddenly choking up. Her family is a bottomless pit. Her father took all my money to pay off gambling debts. Now they're even eyeing my mom's apartment. I nodded. My deepest sympathies. Perhaps he had never seen me so indifferent to him. David looked somewhat incredulous. Kathy, I really know I was wrong. Can we start over? Sure. After Sarah gives birth, you can bring the baby here, and we'll raise it together. Then I'll give you all my money. How does that sound? David seemed to have been driven insane by all the trouble, because he actually asked, really? What do you think? Looking at him made me feel sick. How did you sneak in? Next time I'll call security. David was still trying to win me back when Ethan suddenly came downstairs. He walked up to me and took my hand. I've been waiting for you. As he held my hand, my heart seemed to settle. As we passed David, he suddenly asked, do you know her past? My heart suddenly tightened. David also noticed my tension. He suddenly smirked. She was raped, and she can't have children anymore. She definitely didn't tell you about that, right? Ethan let go of my hand. I slowly closed my eyes. Sure enough. Just as I thought. Thud. There was a loud sound beside me. I opened my eyes and saw David on the ground. He was clutching his mouth and nose, blood seeping from between his fingers. I've wanted to do that for a long time. Thank you for proving once again that you're a bastard. Ethan took my hand again. I don't know what your purpose was in telling me this, but a scum like you, who uses a woman suffering to attack her, deserves to be stepped on. Saying this, he pulled me upstairs. Ethan, He suddenly turned and hugged me. Kathy, don't cry, don't be afraid. I'll always be with you. My tears still fell. That day, Ethan and I officially became a couple. Because of him, I was willing to believe in a promise again. A year later, he proposed to me. Chloe, Holden, her daughter, urged me, get married soon. My daughter is waiting to be the flower girl. I nodded and agreed. The next evening, David's mother found me. As soon as she saw me, she dropped to her knees. Kathy, I know you have a kind heart. Please save David. I quickly helped her up. What happened to him? She cried incoherently. From her words, I gathered that David had killed someone. He had killed Mr. Peterson, Sarah's father. Mr. Peterson, Sarah's father, had forced Mrs. Davis, David's mother, to sell her apartment and had even physically assaulted her. David rushed over and saw his mother knocked to the ground, bleeding from her head. The pent-up anger and resentment instantly destroyed his sanity. He beat Mr. Peterson, Sarah's father, to death with his bare fists. Ma'am, I can't help you with this. He killed someone. But please leave. She left, her back stooped, looking as if she had aged 10 years. She hadn't been particularly good or bad to me before. I only advised her not to agree to sell her apartment to anyone. She looked at me blankly, saying nothing. Ethan and I got married at City Hall 6 months later. We didn't have a wedding ceremony. Chloe was still bothered that her daughter couldn't be the flower girl. She came knocking on our door in the middle of the night. Ethan pulled me onto the bed. Ignore her. She's a mother now, but she's still acting crazy. Actually, I'm a little envious of her. Ethan looked down at me and suddenly kissed my forehead. You can be like that too.